We shall see if this actually works this time. We had issues last time. So, looks like everything's live, everything's up. Looks like I got music playing this time, so you guys should be able to hear that, hopefully. So, everything's all new, set up again. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio. Hear me, I should say. So, but welcome in, guys. This is kind of I'm still trying to figure out if I want to live stream these or if I want to do them as a pre-recorded, because the whole idea is to kind of just work through these and not actually do the production part of it. I just want to show you guys the full situation, right, and kind of go through these. And I'm just debating if I want to put money into creating a bigger setup so that I can do more higher quality productions on this stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Today we are going to be working on a couple Super Nintendos and a couple Nintendos. The Super Nintendos just need some minor repairs. You can see the door won't stay closed. And I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but inside of the power connector, it's been shattered. It's been broken. So I'll show you on a brand new one what it's supposed to look like. So I've got replacement parts for this. So here's a brand new one. This thing's got pieces falling off it everywhere. This thing has not been taken care of. But you can clearly see the little center plastic piece here. Well, that is what you're seeing here that's missing. So we're going to put a new one of these guys in there. It's not just a connector. It's the whole plastic back piece here. It looks like this one might have actually have been replaced once already. So it's just kind of something the Super Nintendos were known for. It's something that was always been kind of a problem. So here we are. We're going to take a look and repair these two. And then I also have a couple NESs that we can dive into and take a look. So for the Super Nintendos, you will need the Nintendo key bit in order to do it. And this is the large, where the smalls are more set for Nintendos, or not Nintendo, but the cartridges. Nintendo's actually use the Phillips. Oh man, this one's on there. Okay. So I'll try to stay out of the way as much as possible, but it's kind of hard with this particular camera setup. So that's alright. Oh. Come on, magnet. These guys. Sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't. So I just have a magnet bit with my extender. And that's how we get it out. I think this plastic housing has definitely seen some age. It's not holding up very well. So yeah, because it's not letting the screws come out very, very easily at all. So plus you can hear it. Oh, that one actually broke. Hopefully it was just whatever's holding the screw, not the shell. But that one might have actually... Hopefully it didn't break off the inner piece, but... Like I said, there's either something in here or somebody really wrenched these down the last time they were in this console. If I was fixing this one for myself, I'd probably buy a replacement shell for this one, not an actual, not just repair it. Whoop. Yeah, that one's holding on pretty good. Okay, there we go. All right, now we have all the screws out. Okay. And I can hear it. You can hear stuff rattling around in here, so you know it's been dropped and beat up. Oh, no, actually. Wow. Yeah, this guy here is has been dropped a time or two. Holy smokes. That is, yeah, the whole side of the shell just pretty much came off. So it's got some dust bunnies in here. Oh yeah, you can hear the things, and they're rattling around. So be careful when you're taking off the ejection doors. There's a spring over here, so I usually just hold the other end, slowly pull and kind of lift, and then you'll get that spring out of the way. This guy has definitely got, you can see all the pieces. Like, this thing has been aged and dropped. This would be definitely a good candidate for a new shell replacement. But I'm not repairing this for myself, and I'm not the one selling it. So I'm just repairing it for the shop. So good thing is the part that I'm going to be replacing is actually attached to the board, not the shell itself. So I'm going to pull the switch off. There's only one direction it can go back on. But when you replace this piece here, it'll stay with the board. So if you replace the shell, it's not like we're wasting any parts on this guy. So that's your cartridge hold down. So we'll go ahead and remove the front controller port. Oh yeah, this guy's definitely seen some better days. So this is a one chip model. So this is actually pretty much one of the older models of the Super Nintendo. It's only got the one processing chip, and you'll see that here once we remove this guy off. So this is the audio controller for the console. These are probably one of the early ones that, like, these guys are usually worth some money just because they tend to have smoother graphics, not so soft edges. So yeah, we pulled that guy off. You can see the marks and dirt underneath that guy. This is the one used to be sought after because early day modding, it was hard to do an RGB mod or even like the HDMI mods on the 2-chip ones, just because of the difference in their in how their architecture works. The 1-chips were easier because it was just easier when you're not having to worry about the mixing. And so, but the 2-chips were notorious for having a more softer edge, which is fine when you're running it on a CRT. You're not going to necessarily notice it unless you're really hardcore into video stuff, but for your typical everyday user, you're not going to notice it. But then when you start putting it into a scaler, that's when you'll start noticing a lot of softness and differences in the video output. So there's a lot of broken pieces in there. This shell's definitely seen some war wounds. The front piece here is cracked. There's cracks here. The whole controller shell's cracked. Back here is cracked. And this thing has been through the ringer. Whoop, forgot about that piece being broken there. So we shall hopefully be able to revive the board and then decide later on if it's worth putting a different shell on it. See what the shop wants to do. So Board itself on the bottom looks pretty clean. There's no real damage, no marks, no burn marks, so looks pretty good here. We're gonna check under the connector here because this is where kind of, yeah, that's pretty nasty. So you can pull these guys off. A lot of people don't when they're cleaning their own consoles. They don't pull this piece off and look in here, and you can clearly see the amount of dirt that's in here. But doesn't look like any of the pins are damaged, except for you can see if I can get some light in here. Get a pick. On this pin right here, there is some oxidization. There's some little green discoloring right here on the pin. It's only on the edge, but that's something we'll still clean up. So other than that, most of the corrosion dirtiness is going to be out here. You can see it in here where the controller port wasn't closed and it's all nasty. So we'll get that cleaned up a little bit. But you can see it here. This is where the dust bunnies collect. So you can see right here, there's a lot of, I thought that was a spider for a second. You can see right here's a lot of dust. So taking it off and just taking a toothbrush or some kind of like soft bristle brush and just kind of knocking off all the dirt, and that already looks 10 times cleaner there. You don't want to do anything harder than like a toothbrush, because it will it can grab the pins and damage them. You can grab the capacitors, damage them, and that will just knock the whole console out. So we're going to also remove the heat shroud here. Make sure before you remove the outer heat shroud that you take off the screw holding down the regulator, because that screw, if you leave it on, you could accidentally bend it, break it, then you're buying a new regulator and you didn't necessarily need to do that. Alright, these guys are cranked on there pretty good. Some are, some aren't. I've caught these systems where you don't get a whole lot of torque on them and stuff like that, so this is why I don't use an electric screwdriver when doing repairs. Sometimes I'll use it for opening the cases up, especially if it's something like the PS3 or the PS2 where it just has a ton of screws. Sometimes it's just easier and faster. So removing those 4 screws. Be careful taking the heat shroud off. There's a little notch here that we'll try to also grab onto that regulator. But now we have access down. And so there you go. So we're down to the bare board. Now we're going to remove one more screw, because this is going to be what allows us access to getting this back piece off. Be careful on your screws. I've seen this one not being put in very well, or using the wrong one. This screw is more of a choice. This is what adds a lot of support for the RF port, allowing us to allow this guy to flex kind of out of the way, because underneath here, this is the hardest part of this job, is once we get the solder off these 2 pins, we have to get this guy out from underneath this little metal tab and this metal tab, and you can either do what we're going to do and try to work it out, or you could theoretically desolder these pins here, and that will allow you to remove the RF module, and then it'll be completely out of the way. Makes it easier, but that's a lot of work and it's kind of unnecessary. You don't necessarily need to do that. So turn on the soldering iron, get it ready and hot. Next thing we're going to do real quick though, while we wait for the soldering iron to heat up, is I'm going to grab my multimeter and I'm going to check, because one thing that does happen a lot is when these guys break the power connector, they short it, And if they short it, that will blow the fuse. So I want to make sure the fuse is good. So continuity test. Okay, fuse is good. I have replacement fuses, but it's one of those things to where it's always nice to know if the fuse has been blown. I'll repair it while we have it apart, versus if it's good, then it also tells me that chances are it didn't receive a shock. It was probably just broken on the way out. So clean up a little bit here, get some parts out of the way, and we will get the soldering iron ready to go, and we will desolder this part. Highly important to keep your tips clean. Make sure. And we will put a little liquid flux in here to help transfer heat to these two pins. Open the door here a little bit, get a little airflow. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to add some solder to the port here. This is just going to help us when it comes to desoldering. Because they used to use a higher temp solder in the old days. And so what we're doing is we're mixing in a little bit of a lower temp. It actually helps with getting to a melting point to where it's not so damaging to the board. Alright, so we're going to take our solder wick here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our solder back up to a hot point, put our solder wick on, get it to start soaking up, and then I just create like a sweeping motion with the solder, and that usually does pretty good removing a good majority of it to allow us access to that pin. And there we go. So you can either leave it on there or you can cut it off. Ouch, that's still hot. So we're going to cut that piece off. It happens a lot when you're soldering. You can burn yourself pretty easy. I'd rather burn myself with that than the iron. Alright, so we're going to heat this guy up again. Come on. So you can see right there where it just like, the wick just takes the solder. Here it's not such a big issue because you have no other small parts here. But where you want to be careful is if you have a lot of small parts, you don't want to necessarily have all the hot solder touching next to it because it could knock off parts pretty easily. So just be mindful when you're wicking. Make sure that you're not hitting other parts because that heat will transfer on the wick as well. Okay, looks like we have solder off, but we're still kind of attached. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat up the pin. I'm going to get it to release. Okay, so that one's released. There we go. Okay. So, now that we have the front pin released, the rear pin I can heat up while I go, but what we're going to do is we're going to slowly kind of try to work the connector off, or that little plastic piece, get it up. So now we're released from the other parts, and now it's just making sure that we are careful with the pin so we don't rip the traces. So we're going to heat this guy back up here. Get it to release, there we go. Hold it out while it cools. That way it stays released. Now the first pin's going to come off, so it's right now their first pin's released. So what I like to do is I like to grab a pair of needle nose. You don't have to, you could just pull. But you do this with your Game Boys all the time? Nice. So easiest way to get this out is to kind of bend the pin a little bit, and it just releases. There we go. Easy, nice and clean, easy to get it off. Try to make them look brand new. Oh man, if you weren't here at the beginning, look at this poor Super Nintendo. This poor Super Nintendo's definitely seen some better days. So I was trying to pull it apart, and apparently just releasing it, the shell pretty much like just fell off in my hands. So this thing has definitely seen some better days. But right now we're just focusing on getting the board back together, or in a usable state, and then I'll talk to the shop and see if they want to buy a new shell for it, or if they just want to sell it as is and let a new owner take care of it, kind of thing. So these are for a local shop I do repairs for. So I try to keep my repairs very cheap and minimal for them, just because they're trying to sell them and they don't want to create a bunch of overhead. So we're going to clean up all the gunk that's over here, so we have a nice little clean spot to start with. Okay, so there we go. So now it's all nice, clean, ready to go. I won't be able to make the shell look brand new. Like I said, I can make the console look brand new, but I have another one that's very much the same way. It probably could use some retro bright. I'm hoping this one's not as delicate, but it definitely does have some of the same damage and scarring. You can see right here on the side, that's typical. So, but this one doesn't have all the rattling. When I tried to shake the other one, like, you could hear all the crap just rattling around inside of it. So, yeah. Where does anyone here? So yeah, so you can see them side by side. You can see the difference. If these were mine, I would probably just buy a shell replacement for it. Throw that guy in the trash can. I would probably just get a new shell for it. Do like a clear shell, see-through shell, and just run that way. You'll see here that they pre-bent the tab, the front tab, just to help you get it on. So what I usually do is I'll take, I love these vampire pliers, is what they are. They have no gnarling here, so they don't actually damage stuff that you grab with it. It doesn't cause it to have damage. So what I like to do is I will just give it just a slight tweak back as well, so that it just kind of helps it get it into place. So what we're going to do is kind of set it up as an angle. Setting it up at my angle, but also setting it up at an angle where you guys can see two different things. Give it a little bit more here. I just cleaned that too, by the way. Right before the stream. Because what's going to happen is that first one's going to want that... Come on, pen. It wants to try to go in the first, so you have to try to get it past the first. There you go. So you can see right there, I've got it past the first hole, and it's set up near the second hole so that I can get it kind of aligned. Okay. So now that the rest is on, it's in place. Now we just got to get both our pins going through, and you'll see that just merely putting it on, the second pin's already in place. So what you're going to do is you're going to push back, and don't worry, the RF module has stick pins. You're not going to break it off unless you really crank back on it. So you can give it a little bit of tweak, it ain't going to hurt anything. But right here, you're just going to pull it back. It's going to be hard to see on camera, but in this gap is that second pin. So what we're going to do is we're going to use like a small tweaker to push that pin down and just kind of slide it back, and there we go. So then just sliding it in place will automatically bend the pins where they need to be. So here's where a lot of people mess up. They just solder it. Let's just solder it and call it good. No. What I would do is I would actually put a couple screws back in place. That way it actually puts the connector where it needs to be, and then solder it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab and we're going to re-screw down our RF module. We're going to grab our silver screw here, and we're going to line up this hole here. Come on. There we go. Line up this hole here. So this is your support screw for your connector. This is what kind of helps not bend and break the pins. So that now holds it in place. And then what I like to do is I'll just drop another screw in this hole, and you can see it kind of holds itself in place. And that allows me to hold it where I need it to be, so that way when I put it all together, I don't have this guy misaligned. Because I've seen that a lot. I've seen where these guys are not aligned upright, and then when you go to screw everything back together and you put it back in the shell, you have gaps, you have other issues, stuff isn't lined up correctly. So right now it's held where it needs to be. All my holes are lined up. So now let's go ahead and solder this guy back in. So we'll put a little bit more liquid flux on the pins just to kind of help with the heat transfer. Grab our soldering iron, and we will solder this guy back in. Come on, ground plan. There we go. Come on, there we go. There we go. And there you have it. We'll let it cool down for a second before we pull our screw, but nice and clean, ready to go. And yeah. So once it's clean, we can remove that screw, or not clean, cooled, and we can remove this screw off of here. We could take that same toothbrush we use for cleaning the dirt, get a little alcohol on it, and just kind of clean it up so that way it doesn't look like crap. And then you just make it look all clean, and there you go. We have replaced the connector and should be good to go. So that's that part. Next we will take that same stuff. We're going to take a little alcohol and we're going to clean up around the connector here where we've seen all that dirt, and just kind of get it all nice and shiny. Make sure there's no crud or other stuff in here from us or from taking it apart. Kind of put a little bit of cleaning inside the audio chips, that way it's not showing or having issues, I should say. Alright, so now we'll set this board aside a little bit, and now we're going to focus on cleaning up this guy. So again, we'll take our toothbrush, a little bit of alcohol, and we're just going to gently clean in here. Don't scrub this really hard. If you scrub this really hard, you could, like I said, grab a pin, bend it, and if you damage a pin in here, you've pretty much wasted the connector, and you're gonna have to find a new one. I'm sure they're all over eBay, but you know, the less money you have to spend to get it back together and working, the better off you are. Especially if you're trying to like restore one without having to spend a whole lot of money to do it. So, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to use my hot air gun, and we're going to just kind of just put some hot air in here. It's not for anything other than just drying it up, because I'm going to be putting up something else in here. So I'm just trying to dry this up so that the way the alcohol's not wet in here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use this stuff here. It's called deoxit. So this stuff here helps kind of remove oxidization on the pins where you don't have to scrub them really hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit to these pins here. You don't need a whole lot. This is like a super concentrated chemical. And so we just want to add just a little bit to both sides. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this connector here, make sure it's lined up, and we're going to push it on and then take it off a couple times. And this will just kind of spread that deoxit around, and then we'll kind of leave it in there as a like a cleaning agent essentially. But that's what it's meant for, is to help remove oxidization on your ports. And so we just want to make sure that that underneath port isn't all nasty and corroded. And then we'll do the same thing on this guy once we get it all back together and I can actually insert a cartridge here. We'll use a cartridge and do the exact same thing to this side. So there we have it. We've cleaned the port, we replaced the connector. So then what we're going to do is we're going to put it back together and verify it works. So you can take your toothbrush that you're using or whatever brush and just kind of make sure any dirt's off of it. Put a little dirt back here I missed. The one thing is a lot of people don't realize is that even a human hair can actually create continuity. I've seen it. It's odd. It doesn't happen all the time, but I have actually seen something as small as the human hair cause a short on boards that I've repaired in the past. And usually where you find that is in like computers or electronics that don't ever get opened and cleaned, and then you go in to replace a part and you have all this dirt just laying in there, and it just finds the right pads. So and it's not, well, it's more about creating resistance, right? So if you're talking about power, you're probably not going to see anything like a dead short with hair, but you'll see it on, say, a reference signal line where you're just getting a small reference check and it throws a little bit of resistance. It'll throw your clock crystal off or something like that. So there's your heat shield back on. We'll take this guy. Make sure that this guy's screwed back on. You definitely want this guy set to the heatsink, because the heatsink is what's pulling the heat away from your regulator, and your regulator is really what's doing all the work. So there's our heat shields back on. So what we're gonna do is start putting our shields on. Make sure it's lined on the bottom. This pin is really what's going to kind of line up your board. That's our bottom piece. post. Uh-oh, I dropped something. I dropped one of those guys. Where'd it go? There it is. Alright, yeah. Okay. These guys aren't necessarily important for the build. What they are important for is if you were using where they had their expansion stuff set to it. That's where that piece comes into play. I got some more stuff in here. So, get all the stuff out of the edges here. Stuff that's kind of stuck on. Chances are we'll be getting a different shell to put this guy in, but for now we're just going to use it to kind of test and make sure the console works. So, as you can see though, everything lines up the way it's supposed to there. So, let's go ahead and start putting our stuff back on. Actually, let's clean that guy up. There's some dirt on the outside of this guy. All right. So make sure, a lot of people when they're putting stuff back together, they don't think the screws matter. Make sure you are using your longer, thicker screws, the silver ones, to go on your cartridge thing, because if this guy's not tight down, this is what can actually break your board, because it will have too much flex and move. So you just want to make sure those are tight down, and then you want to make sure that you're using your silver ones go on your connector ends off the back of the console, because this is what supports you plugging in and unplugging your AV, your RF cable, or your power cable. This is what keeps this guy secure, so that way you're not bending those and breaking that part. Then get all this dust and hair out of here. So then what we're going to do here is do the same thing. We have this audio connector right here. We're just going to put a little bit in here. Okay, and this is just going to help make sure those contacts are good. So, come on, why not? There we go. So then what we'll do is we'll just kind of plug it in and out a couple times. Okay, and that should help clean those up. Make sure that there's nothing corroding that section. And then we'll screw this part back down. Okay, make sure we put these screws in here. Oh, that thing broke. At least it sounded like it broke. Yeah, this shell is definitely trash. But we're gonna at least use it to verify that the fix worked. And then, like I said, I'll let the shop know, send him some pictures and be like, hey, this is kind of what we're at. And he can decide whether or not this guy, oh, those are the middle ones. I got 2 extras. Where am I missing screws at? Probably under here. Nope, I know where one's at. One goes here. I didn't see that one. Oh no, I know where. Never mind. I know the extra screw goes. No, it's those two. I do have an extra screw for some reason. No, there's not one there. Oh, no, that's... Oh, there it is. Okay. It's right there. Right in the corner. Okay. I was like, I know I'm missing one. Okay, there we go. Get this guy lined back up. The last screw takes this guy, so this guy needs to be cleaned. So I usually take this. The power connector is another fault I've seen in the Super Nintendo and other consoles. It's really prevalent on ColecoVision when you have different rails going through where the contacts don't make perfect contact. So it's actually a good idea to put some alcohol in here, kind of switch it back and forth a few times, and just make sure you get all the dirt out, because that helps with the contacts in here, just to make sure that this guy is actually doing what it's supposed to do. Because if dirt gets underneath here and it doesn't allow the contact to be made, then you're potentially going to think your switch is dead or your system's dead, but in ideal it's just literally your on-off switch is bad. So all right. Okay. So there we go. It's all back together. So now what we're gonna do is grab a couple cartridges here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some deoxit on the port itself. So I'm gonna use a random game, it doesn't matter which one you use, just put a little bit of contacts. This, and I like to switch the games around for this because then all my games kind of get the same treatment. Okay, so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in here and we're just gonna insert and pull the card out just a few times. This works the deoxit around and into the contacts, and then I'll switch games and hit a different game just to make sure there's no excess. There we go. So that gets the deoxit around, cleans your games at the same time, and then we're going to be using a burn cart. So I know this is not a legit one, but it is using the same software. So we'll have that guy set up. Find my Super Nintendo power cable. Oh, I guess I should hook up the controller port as well. We'll need that. Okay, so we'll set the controller port up, grab a Super Nintendo controller. All right. And last but not least, figure out what I did with my Super Nintendo. There it is. Probably should have hooked this up beforehand. And I don't have a capture card hooked up to this side yet, so bear with me. I will set it up and show you the video output once I get everything all set up. All right, so come on. There goes, my monitor's coming up now. And we have power. But no video out. So that tells me we have more wrong with this guy, but just to verify. Yeah, we're getting logic out, but we're not getting full video. Let me double check my retro tink here. Unplug it, plug it back in. Sometimes it doesn't like going through these modes. I got audio this time, so it was my retro tink. Or maybe it wasn't. I have audio. Okay, so let's try. So there's two games I picked. I picked for a reason, because they load graphics differently. Yeah, see, so right here I'll show you. I'm gonna move the camera. Come on, camera. Work with me here. Okay, there we go. So, whoa, why did my camera do that? What the hell? I don't know why. Alright, this camera's retarded. Come on. For some reason, my camera doesn't want to work with me. Sorry, guys. So you can see right here on my output. You can see right here it's got garbled stuff going on. But if I load Killer Instinct, it loads a different way. You can hear audio when it comes up, but it's not got anything right now. So something's going on here with the video. So we'll go back to here. And I don't, oh my God. Yeah, see, I gotta figure something out here. I gotta do better. I was planning on having a capture card, but the capture card I had gave up the ghost this morning when I set this up. So, there we go. Alright, so something else is going on with this guy. Sorry, I had to deal with the work text real quick. So something else is going on here. Let's take a quick look. So we will pull this guy back apart. Let me just remove the switch here and figure out what's going on. See if there's something damaged. See if there's something out of place. Could just be a capacitor's off. Could be a bad pin in here. This is why I like the burn-in cart, because the burn-in cart will allow me to usually see that, but it's not even outputting to that. So could be something in the audio video connector itself. So we'll pull this guy apart and see what we can find. And that's what I get for being so confident. I figured it was going to be just that. And good to go. Usually when I test this, I only throw so let's see what we can find here. And connectors. Oh yeah, that shell's all messed up. The other side started to crack too, just from grabbing it. Yeah, that thing's definitely not good. Okay, so let's take a look back here. I don't see any damage. There's some crud here. Going between two capacitors. Or two resistors, sorry. I don't see anything there. There's a lot of crud in the connector though. I don't like that. Stuff I won't be able to show you because I don't have a camera that can zoom in that far. But what we're going to do is, for test's sake, I'm going to pull this guy off and grab one of my other ones I've cleaned. I have another board over here that we will be doing a recap on because it doesn't work, and I think it's just the capacitors. So we'll try this connector because I've gone through it and gotten all the crud out of it. I even pinned out all the pins so I know the pins are good. But let's check the audio video connector. So what we could do here is grab one of these little sponger things here, and a lot of little deoxit to here, and then we'll go in here and put a little bit on these pins, and this kind of helps kind of get these guys situated. I didn't see anything wrong with the capacitors there. So let's take the heatsink back off just to look. Because there's a whole group of capacitors underneath here. By the way, you do not want to start this board up without the heatsink on. This the regulator will burn out pretty quick because you're pumping 10 volts or 9 volts through and then dropping it down to 5 volts. So make sure none of these capacitors look bad. No, these guys look good. Look clean, connected. None of them are bulging. None of them look damaged. So let's try it one more time. See if swapping out the connector and cleaning out the AV port helps it out. That's right. But we won't put it all the way back together this time. We will just test it first. This one might have to go, if we don't get it working here, this guy might go on the pile of ones that need to be recapped. And see what happens. Okay, we'll put the heatsink screw on. Okay. Grab our damaged shell over here that's like giving us the ghost. Okay, and then just for testing purposes, we're only going to put the 2 screws that are for the cartridge connector back on. Just that way we don't damage that. Putting the cartridge on. Okay. Give this guy a shot. All right. Power. Oh, I guess it might help if I actually give it the switch, huh? We will need that. Okay, power, audio, video. Where did I put the controllers? Over here on the ground. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. I actually haven't asked that. No one said anything yet, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me just fine. Alright, let's give this guy a shot again. Alright, so there is something deeper wrong. Oh wait, well that doesn't help either. Not having this guy in there. So we're getting a black screen, so it's trying to output. but we're not getting any video output. We'll try Lost Vikings again. Let's see if that guy comes up. Okay, so we're getting the same red flicker screen I was getting before. So still have audio. We still have controls. Like, it's allowed me to go through, but something's not. So yeah, so this makes me wonder. It could be the clock crystal, and I am waiting for my my new oscilloscope to show up, because my little one I was using died. I took it to work and let someone use it, and they dropped it and shattered the screen. So yeah, I'm waiting for my new one to show up so we can test the clock crystal, because there's a test point and the clock crystal right here. And that would be, if this guy was off or not working properly, this would cause the signal to mess up and actually not allow us to get our proper signals. So yeah, this guy is going to unfortunately have to get put to the side until I can get my oscilloscope and test what's going on with that. I was not prepared for a video output error. I was hoping to deal with just power issues. So, but we did get to see how to replace the connector, and I do have one more to do with that same connector. So we shall. But that gives me a chance to talk to the shop owner and ask him what he wants me to do about the shell, because the shell is definitely not something I would put back together and sell. So this might be one of those ones where he actually gifts it to me and goes, too much money to fix it, not worth selling, and it ends up in my playhouse, where then I will go ahead and buy an aftermarket shell and sell it and that good stuff. Alright, let's grab, more parts and pieces. You guys want to do a Super Nintendo, or do you want to do one of the Nintendos? Guess it doesn't matter, they're both going to get done. Alright, hopefully this guy is in better. The heel. Oh, no. I don't think this guy's going to be in much better shape. So, this guy looks like they over-tightened the screws and actually pushed that one through the shell. So hopefully I'm wrong, but we shall find out here shortly. Kind of sucks we weren't able to get that one, so we're 0 for 1 now. Okay, let's see which screws come out. That's 4. Okay. 5, and we have one more. Oh, come on. Do they strip it? No, this guy's just on there crooked. How the hell they got that on the crooked, I don't know. This one's gonna be kind of weird. How do I get this off? Nope. This one they do have on there. Stupid. It's not. Oh. I think that one's actually. I think they broke it. So they got it to go in. But what's holding the shell together then? I got 5 of the 6 screws out. Sludger right here. So we use a plastic spudger because this guy, oh yeah, oh, this one's gonna be nasty. This one's gonna be gross. Oh yeah. What is stuck here? Oh. Okie dokie. So. Oh yeah. I don't even want to open this one now. That is disgusting. They got soda stuck in here. It was stuck in here. Look at this. That is gross. Look at that. That is very, very, very gross. The other thing I'm a little worried about is, right, let's see if I can get the light here to shine in here. Right there, all this white stuff right here, that's all like, it's almost like battery acid. This guy's, oh my goodness. Yeah, this one's probably not even worth it. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. That dark spot, that's a pin. That's supposed to be where you connect a connector to, and that's, oh yeah. I guess we're in here. Let's see how deep this this goes, but this guy has not seen any better life. The pin's broken here. I don't even know if this one is worth me looking at for the shop. By the time I'm done fixing this one's probably not worth money. Look at this right here in the front. All that dark spot, that's glued on to the shell. Oh, look at that. That is, oh, that's so disgusting. Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. That's like spilled soda caked on there. Yeah, that's, I gotta talk to the shop before I even touch that one. That one's bad. Oh yeah. He's gonna want to see this before I put new timer money into this guy. Because both of these guys are gonna need new shells. That's gonna need a new connector. This guy's gonna need a full-on power bath. So I'm not even going any further on this one, guys. I apologize, but this one isn't even worth putting money into, time or effort. So I'm going to set this one aside and we'll just move on to the Nintendos. If I was prepared for something like that, so like if he gives me the green light, or gives it to me and I buy the parts, I will make a separate video and we will call that a full-on restore. Like that will be one we dig through and do a full-on restoration of. So what we have here is a Nintendo, a regular Nintendo. It's definitely so it's missing a door. It's cracked right here where the door connected to it. The black piece is cracked and broken. So I do have some pieces, but I'm pretty sure I do not have the door or the black piece, because I used that black piece on my custom Nintendo for my extra parts. But hopefully we can open this guy up and it's not bad inside. And the one thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a we're gonna disable the lockout chip. So we're gonna do a free mod on this guy. And I've been wanting to do a video on it to show you guys how the lockout chip can be modded with a quick little snip of one pin. It's a pretty quick and easy mod, and it gets rid of a lot of the flashing errors. So when you see the red light flashing and you see graphics, not a black screen, you see graphics, that's when you know that it's typically a lockout issue and it's missing a pin. So it's not registering one of the important pins for being able to play the game. Okay. So, looking inside of here, it don't look too bad. So it looks like the shell pretty much took the brunt of the force of this guy. And so this guy should be worth saving. Does not look like a lot of people have been in this one. But I'm going to need a hazmat suit for that other one. Oh my god. Don't let your kids play your consoles with food. Grubby, nasty, grubby fingers. That's how that stuff happens right there. So that right there is spilled soda. And years of just letting it just sit there and bake in it. So that's the top shell. Silver screws off. So, two important mods to do to a Nintendo. Okay, there's two of them that are really, really good to do. And one is the one I'm going to show you guys today, which is the lockout chip disable. But the one that another one that you guys, if you're looking to restore a Nintendo, that I think is the best one I've ever seen made, is from Blue Shell, is the NES drawer, the Nintendo drawer. It is an amazing mod. I have one here. I'll show you guys. It's for my personal Nintendo. My Nintendo's apart right now while I do some fixing of it. But essentially what the Nintendo drawer does is it replaces this guy right here. It replaces this whole mechanism and gets rid of the issue, the number one issue with Nintendos, which is this little connector right here. This is the bane of most people's existence. Because the idea that this is a press down type connector, if it's not hooked up correctly, or if it's got a dirty pin, a bent pin, that is like the bane of like 90% of people's existence when it comes to being able to play their Nintendos. Okay, I hate this stupid shell right here because it always kind of gets in the way. It's sharp, and if you're not careful, can mess you up and mess your wires up. So I kind of always wiggle it out of the way. That allows you to get to these connectors here and get that out of the way. So here is your Nintendo. Okay, so you have your regulator here, your RF modulator, and your power supply is here. So you have your PPU, your CPU, and then right down here is the little mod we're going to do is we're going to bend these capacitors out of the way. Right here, that little chip, that is your lockout chip. That's the chip that detects whether you're playing a legit game or if you're playing like a backup or an issue. Right? So if it doesn't detect your legit piece on your console or your cartridge and the talking through the pin, this chip will actually gives you that flashing and makes it so it doesn't load. So what we're going to do is it's the 4th pin over. So you come over here, you just count from your little dot here, that's the side you want to be on. You're going to count 4 pins down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to take a pair of dikes, flush cuts, clips, stuff like that, whatever you want to call it, and you're just going to nip that pin. Okay? Now, if you got a soldering iron and you want to make it all clean and pretty, you can desolder that guy. Or what you can do is what I'm going to do to show you is just kind of bend it out of the way so that it can't make connection. And guess what? You've now disabled the lockout chip on the NES. So that's it. That's that mod. That's that first mod that I say is one of your 2 important mods to do on an NES. And it's done. Now, like I said, you could come in here, you can make it clean. We can go in here, desolder the 4th pin, take it out. You can lift it up if you really want to go that way to make it to you can return it. But guess what? Chances are you're probably not going to care about returning this back to normal. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use some tricks for cleaning up the connector pad. And my biggest favorite tip here is bubblegum eraser. Okay, these guys are great for cleaning up these pins or these pads right here. So just take this guy, rub it across, and it's going to help remove a bunch of the dirt, corrosion, and it's soft enough that it's not going to cause any issues. This is also a good trick for your cartridges, your games and such. So you just rub it off. It's going to kind of dull the pins. So then all you got to do here is grab a Q-tip, a little bit of alcohol, or if you have a cartridge cleaner or whatever, and then just come back in here. Just kind of do light circles. So it just kind of scrubs with the alcohol. Take the other side where it's dry and just dry it off. Okay, you can see how much dirt and that just came off of that pin, or all those pins, I should say, that side of the connector. So imagine that is what's stopping your games from playing, and that's just buildup from just sitting here for years. So you can do multiples if you want. I know some people who preach going in and doing it until the Q-tip comes away pretty much clean, right? Usually on the 1st or 2nd pass by is all you're going to need. You can see even on the 2nd pass, like that's all that came off of that. But don't use anything hard and abrasive because you could damage these pins. If you scratch them too much, then you could cause your system to be dead, not work anymore. Another thing you could use is you could use something like a 1-up card. You have a side you put cleaner on, the other side's dry. You pretty much put fluid on it. You just kind of rub it across just like you would your games. 1UP has them. I like the 1UP. They're quality, solid. They last. If you want to go cheap, I know a lot of retro selling stores will actually sell you these old school ones. They're not as good. There's a reason why they give them away for free. I throw these ones away all the time because the pads rip off them. But my 1UP stuff usually lasts. So, and they sell them in different sizes. I do have, if I get this stupid drawer back on, they do make smaller ones for like Game Boys. It's the 1UP Card Mini. I've been using this guy for over a year, and I've had no issues with it. The old school ones, I've tried a few, and all of them, every single one of them has fallen apart on me. So, lockout chip disabled. I said I'd show you the other mod. Let me grab it for you off my Nintendo. Okay. This right here is the blue shell Nintendo drawer. Okay, this thing is an amazing little device. It gets rid of the press down. So when you have this guy hooked up in here, you slide your cartridge in, you push this down, it creates tension. Where the difference is this guy uses a similar to the top loader or the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and you snap it in place, you push it back, your cartridge locks in, and you don't have to worry about whether or not it's making connection with any of the pins or if the pressure is not added there. And it's just a 3D printed shell around it. And I'll tell you right now, outside of that, between the lockout chip disable and this, you'll never see another red light issue again. And as long as your system's clean before you put it together and you don't leave it out in a very dusty environment, you'll never have an issue with that Nintendo. So they're pretty nice. I have an original. He has made several modifications where this thing has gotten better and nicer, and it looks cleaner. He also has different faceplates you can buy. One's say Nintendo drawer. This one, of course, is from Link. It's Adventure Zelda 2. I Am Error. It is one of my favorite lines from that game. So, yes, there you go. There's the Nintendo drawer mod. I would say if you're gonna spend the money for the red light fix or whatever, the no red light connector, that's just pretty much a replacement one of these, you're better off just spending a little bit extra and buying the Nintendo drawer. Nothing against the no red light, but I've seen it cause red lights and other issues and stuff like that. So I'd rather just stick to something like the Nintendo drawer that I know for sure works better. So again, we're going to go to the other side here and use our bubblegum eraser to kind of clean off the initial grime. This will kind of deoxidize it too, as well as it kind of just knocks it off. And it's not abrasive again, it's just really good. It'll last forever. So now we'll grab our Q-tip, do our scrub on this side. I mean, look at that. That's disgusting. So yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, so then we're gonna take our toothbrush, kind of just knock off some of this dirt over here. Kind of go through, make sure none of our extras that we've created are still laying around. Be careful inside. You don't want to break off those any of the capacitors. So we're just trying to make sure there's no dust balls hanging around, stuff like that. So at this point, I would look for any capacitors that could be potentially bad. So what you're looking for is the tops are bulging out. None of these tops are bulging out, they look fine. And then looking for any kind of corrosion around the legs that looks like it possibly leaked or broke open. It's not a common thing for the Nintendos unless they take a power surge or a hit. But on other systems, such as like the original Xbox, you'll see a lot of that where the capacitors are bad. And then same thing here, right? If this guy's bulged out, having issues, it looks like it's had better days, you want to replace that. In order to replace that, you'd pull this top lid off and you'd see all the pads in there. So another good mod you could look into would be replacing the power board. There's been several companies, small groups out there that have been building these power supplies and doing really good work on creating up-to-date quality power supplies, and they're really good to go through. But it'll get rid of the RF module if you want, which gets rid of a lot of noise and the interruption, and give you a better, cleaner output for your composite. Gives you better audio out too as well. Some of them do also have like a split, so you can run a fake stereo audio. Because other than doing like the Open Nintendo or the necessity builds, you can't really get stereo audio for your console. So back to deoxit. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit on here. This guy we're not going to be able to slide in and out. So this one I like to just add a little bit to my Q-tip thing here, and then I'm just going to rub it on. This spreads it around. I'll just kind of put some on both sides. And this just kind of acts as a coat, a protectant to keep this from oxidization, or building up oxidization on it. And then we'll take our connector, make sure you get your shorter side and face it towards the upside. So the upside is the side that doesn't have all your parts. We're going to snap that guy into place, and there you go. Then what we're going to want to do here is it's easy to do it now, but going back to 1UP, I have one of these. If you have an older Nintendo cart cleaner, these guys are good to use as well. But it's a good time here to just kind of scrub the pads a little bit with this guy. Because the thing is, you don't want to put deoxit on this guy. So do this before you put deoxit, because if you get the deoxit on here, it'll add an oily residue to the pad. And this is kind of like an abrasive pad that kind of scrubs the pads for you. If you get deoxit on here, it will ruin your 1UP card. So, or your cleaning kit, whatever one you get. So I would just kind of use this guy a little bit to kind of rough the pads up a little bit, knock off any like corrosion that might be there. And then we'll do deoxit, not using this guy. So we'll grab a random Nintendo cart, and we're gonna add a little just deoxit. This is gonna be Tetris 2. It's one I haven't done. I just got this guy from GameStop recently. So add a little deoxit to it. Remember, a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a whole lot. And then what we're gonna do is do the same thing. Just kind of go in and out, rub it there, so that way it just kind of gets it all over the pads. And there you go. So hopefully that's enough, and that deoxit's on the pads there. So now we will put this Nintendo back together. So again, be careful with the shell. This old metal is really thin and really sharp. It can tear your hands up. It can also rip through your connectors your wires pretty easy. Why are we being a pain? Okay, you get out of the way. There we go. Sometimes it gets caught up on the connector. But again, be careful. Like I said, you don't want to slice these wires, because then you're playing, you know, wire replacer other than just cleaning it up. All right, so we'll put this guy back in. Get the wires back in place. Go. Okay. And then we'll start reassembling. But I'm only going to do part of it, not like I did last time where I put it all back together, then we tested it and it didn't work. We're just going to put enough screws in that I don't break the cartridge board trying to put it in and out the cartridge. All right. So there's 4 screws. That's enough. We will grab my Nintendo Power cable right here. Okay. We will then swap out the Super Nintendo cord for a Nintendo cord. Okay. Okay. Connectors on. We'll then grab my Nintendo controller. I'm using an 8-bit Duo wireless. We'll pop in Tetris 2. And there we have it. First time up. So, again, I wish I had a capture card. I'm sorry, guys. But we will, I don't know why this thing keeps going upside down. This thing is, I'm gonna have to do something else here. Why? Come on now. Oh, this camera sucks. I need a better camera. This is so annoying. Or I need a separate camera. I only have one now. But there you have, whoop, come on. But there you have it. There's first time. Right there, and it works. Playing one-handed. So, there you go. But again, like I said, that's your lockout kit being disabled and your connector being clean, right? And that was the first game right out to get. Add a little deoxit, that helps. So this camera's annoying. Oh, I think I got the wrong way. Yeah, it's upside down now. Okay, let's flip it this way. There we go. Now we're the right way. So I'm going to test it with a game that I just got. Mega Man 4. I haven't even tested it. I literally bought it, brought it home, and haven't even used it yet. So let's go ahead and see. And bam, first try. I have screen up. I won't turn the camera back up and dizzy you guys any more than I have to. But you can hear the audio. And there it is. So that's the magic of cleaning your system. I know a lot of times I've actually found I've found these consoles just thrown away. No one wants to take the time to fix them. Just out of curiosity's sake, another one I just bought. I haven't even opened it from the store I bought it from yet. It's Ultima. So, no time like the present to test and see if it works. Okay, that one solid light, but no, not working. So we'll take our deoxit pad here, kind of put a little bit on here. Okay, this one not working. Not like I thought, but could also be could be a thinner board. This guy is kind of loose going in. It doesn't have any kind of like real back pressure. Yeah, see there, it's better. It's up and working now. It's got a little bit of graphical glitch in it, so it could just be the disc cartridge itself. There it goes. There you go. Just not sitting right. A little bit thinner of a board. So alright. Hey, the battery works in it because there was actually some saves. So there we go. We will put this guy back together. Let's see. Yeah. I have a new top, or a top I could use, and a door, but I don't have the piece here. So that's not going to help me none. So we're just going to, this console's just going to have to go without a door because I don't have the piece to hold that on, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and unhook everything. Get the power cable out of the way. And we'll get this guy back together. And then I'll hit it with the air gun to knock out all the dust before I put the top lid on. You can see some of the grime back here. Dust bunnies and stuff like that. Okay, that's those four. We'll then pop, oops, wrong way. We'll pop this guy back on here. Alright, now we put all the rest back on. So, the Nintendo's one that I would use an electric screwdriver on just because it has a ton of screws. And you don't even need them all. I don't even know what the point of putting all the screws on, or this many screws on here for, is. Like, I understand all the shielding. It was considered EMI shielding. It was to help stop the console from picking up outside noise, which would cause other lines, and it's kind of just part of running RF. So if you're not sure what RF is, it's just old school TV, which is the coax cable connection that's screwed in the back of your TV. You're on either channel 3 or 4. That's why it's always nice to remove that piece if you're not going to use it, and replace it with one of the newer style power supplies. Because with the new style power supply, you can get rid of a lot of the shielding. You don't even need it. You can just literally put the console back in and call it a day. This guy's kind of warped. Definitely seeing age. Alright. Oh, let me hold on one sec. There we go. Hit it with the air gun. Knocked all that dirt out. Okay. Grab the other screwdriver, because my regular one does not fit this deep into the console. So one thing is, a lot of people neglect. The tip I give everybody is when you're putting the shell on, start in the middle and work out. That way, if it's warped, you're not causing more issues. You'll like take the warp in the center and then push it out to the edges, instead of having a warp to the middle, to where then when you're screwing it on, it actually causes more pressure on the console shell. Not as important with the Nintendo, but with other consoles it can be. Or with other electronics, anything that's got like more than 6 screws for the bottom. And I did forget one of the screws, not a big deal. Again, the Nintendo has a million extras that you don't actually need. I have a ton of extra screws from all the Nintendos I've worked on. So I'll keep that as a spare. But there you have it, guys. This guy just needs a bath, and there's another Nintendo fixed, ready to go back into service. Guess what I have? I have another Nintendo. So we'll be a little quicker on this one. We'll just go through it. Do the lockout, disable, do the clean. I won't have to show you all the other stuff. Pop a couple games in it, make sure it works. And pop it on along the way. Okay. 3, 4, 5. Which one didn't come out? This one over here. Looks like it just bound. Alright, now this guy's got a little bit more dust in it. So, oh, come here. Alright. Another nice thing about the Nintendo is 90% of the screws are all the same. Like you're not having to worry about whether you put them back in the right way or not. It's like they were just like, well, the only ones that have to be different are the ones holding something important, so we'll just use that. And so they kind of just ran the same screws throughout most of the shell. Okay, so let's go back around. On this one, I'll show you the most important screws to have. All the rest are kind of just more or less holding the shell together, or holding the EMI shield on. Come on. Okay. Your most important screws are going to be these 6. You have 4 up here, 2 down here. These are the ones that hold on your cartridge slider. Those are your most important screws. And then your 2 that hold on your power supply, just because that helps with support when you're dealing with the plugging in all your pieces and stuff like that. Everything else is pretty much, like I said, holding down a shield or just kind of securing something. And the two screws that are different when it comes to just taking the board out are going to be the 2 silver ones. They're longer and they go into a thicker stud to help support, like I said, the moving of the connector, so that way it doesn't press on the board wrong and cause an issue. So, all right. This guy, unplug the front. We'll slide the shell out of the way. Come on, connector, there we go. That right there takes care of that. Oh yeah, see? There you go. There's one. You can see that's corrosion. That's the stuff we'll be cleaning off here in a second. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to disable the lockout chip. So we're going to pull these 2 capacitors out of the way. You'll see these 2 are down already. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take and nip that guy. Take it, bend it out of the way. That way it can't accidentally make connection, and there you go. Again, lockout chip disabled. Okay, brush. Inspect our cap. Our cap looks fine. It's not bulging, doesn't have any discoloration. Looks good. Okay, now we'll start with our bubblegum eraser. Use it to try to knock off as much crud and corrosion we can. So usually what I do is I do both sides. I don't just start on one side and then do it. I kind of just do both, and that way I can put the eraser down and move to cleaning with alcohol. Okay. Because then you're going to have that mess underneath you while you're doing that. Okay. So this guy right here, not going to just come off regular. So this is where you got to be creative. You can do different things. You want to be very careful. I tend to use like a small flathead screwdriver because it's flat, and I just kind of slowly push away. Don't push towards, because if you go this way and you drag into the solder mask, because that's what this green stuff is called, if you drag into that and you damage it, you could damage a trace. So I usually just use, and I go outward, and I'm just trying to get the stuff off. So because it is rust. So looking at it, it's rust, not go on my magnifying glass here. Ugh. Looks like a dent too. Looks like somebody caused some damage here. So we'll grab some alcohol, clean, and then we'll re-inspect, see how bad it is, see if we can't work past it, or if I'm gonna have to do something more invasive to it. Yeah, it's like dented on there. That's a pretty good little nick on that board. Grab more of a pick. Nope, that's a flathead. Grab more of a pick, sharp point, see if I can't get in here. Yeah, it looks like someone else tried to clean this up and they scraped something out of here and then didn't actually put any kind of protectant on it, which would be the deoxit or something similar. So yeah, so I've got it mostly off. You're gonna still see some scratches on there. That's not a big deal. It's gonna make contact. Should still work no problem. So, but this is where we're going to put something on there to help clean and protect it from future damage. Alright, so let's go ahead and put, actually let's take a look at the connector first. Oh yeah, you can see it right there where the corrosion on the pin. See if I can get through this way. See, where's it at? Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So you can see it right there. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's corrosion. So we're going to try to see if we can get that off without causing more damage. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my flathead, my really tiny flathead screwdriver, and I'm actually going on that pin and trying to scrape it. It looks like it doesn't want to come off. So you could theoretically do a lot of things with this. You could drop it, buy a new one. You get them on Amazon. You could dump it in hot water. A lot of guys will boil these because it kind of helps pull it back into normal. I actually have extras of this, so give me one sec. I have a box of ones that I have done other repairs with. So we'll take this one. This one will go in the box and I'll deal with it later. And this one will be a better connector. This is one I've done a one I use for one of my NES Nintendo builds. So I'm just going to put some extra on here just because this has been kind of sitting out. And we're just going to put a little extra deoxit on here. Just to trying to help. Alright. So again, short side with the screws. That's going to go up to the top of the board where all the other parts are at. And then we will start reassembly. Hit that guy with the air gun. So there we go. Alright, so here, connect this guy, this guy, put it into place, flip it over. Oh, come on, shield. There we go. Alright, make sure we plug in the other controller. Get your wires run correctly. Okay. This guy is not warped like the other one is. There we go. Alright, so again, our most important screws are going to be for your power supply and your AV board, so it's going to be these two down here. And they're going to be your brass colored screws. Alright, make sure these guys are down. Okay, then we want to make sure our silver screws go in the second hole up on both sides of our cartridge connector. Then we'll put our other 4 screws in. But before I go too much further, I'm going to double check that this console works. So we'll just put these 4 in and the 2 front ones. Unless this guy has some other major flaws, I don't see why it wouldn't work like the other one did, but you just never know. Stranger things have happened. Alright. So again, remember I said before, we don't use the 1-up cartridge when we've used Deoxit, but I wasn't really worried about this cartridge because this is one I knew came out of a good system. So I've done a bunch of these in 10 drawers, and the guys let me keep the parts just to have for days like today, where I run into a repair that just needs that piece right there. Alright, so Tetris 2, we grab our controller and we test. And we're getting a gray screen. Let's try Mega Man 4 since it started so well in the last one. Okay, Mega Man 4, first time. So that tells me Tetris 2 probably a little bit more worn out than I thought it was. There it is. That guy goes in really with no pressure. There it goes. All right. So sometimes that is what you need to do. You do have to hit the reset button. But we do have screen, and it is playing. I apologize for not having a capture card. Something I overlooked. But I would say this guy's good. The only thing I will be doing to this that you guys won't see is I will be doing a 4-hour burn-in on this. So what I tend to do with a lot of my consoles is when I'm repairing them is I turn them on, and I put a game such as Mega Man 2 that has a entrance that continuously loops and plays, and I will set that up to where I can just walk away, let that intro play. Not that Mega Man 2 kind of plays really hard on the console. It's something about the game, the way it loads its graphics. I don't know. It's just the way it works. It definitely seems to lock more consoles up than many other games I've actually put into a console. So I'll have to do more research on why, but I know that it works. And it's a really good burn-in cartridge for me to use. Someday I will take the money and time, and I will buy me an Evercart for the Nintendo, and I will download. Some of these guys have created a burn cart themselves, but you have to have an Evercart to really use it, or buy the cartridge. So one of these days I will suck it up and get me one. Alright. Screws are in. Somehow I knocked those two up there. We will stick the top shell on. And there we go. So, we are 2 for 4. 2 Nintendos repaired. 2 nasty, bad Super Nintendos. Like I said, the one Super Nintendo could still work, but I'm not going to waste a $15 repair part on it just to find out. I will pull it apart, clean it up, rip the connector off, and then I will just solder 2 wires to the pins and put it on a power supply and verify that it works before I'm willing to just put like I said, these guys are about $15 if you buy them from a good reputable shop. I've seen them from Chinese manufacturers off of like AliExpress, and you can get them for like $7, $8. But I don't like those ones because I've had to send more back than just paying a little bit more and buying it from a reputable shop. You think I would like to be a ham radio operator? Well, when you know it, that I actually do have my I have my growl license for 1 and 3. So I am a communications supervisor for a gold mine, and that is my job, is to work on radios. My day-to-day job. Sorry if I missed that before. I don't know how long ago that message was there. Sorry, guys. I've been watching my chat, but I didn't notice that last one. Welcome in, Elmer. Thank you for the message. Hopefully you're still here. and I didn't ignore you too long. I didn't mean to. Kind of got carried away in this repair. So, but there you go. Another Nintendo ready to go out the door to another customer. But wait, there's more. I have a third one. This is the last one, I promise, for the Nintendos. And then I have one more repair we'll make today. Another quick, easy one. Where did I do with the screwdriver? Oh, it's over here. But yes, I went and got my general radio operator's license earlier this year, and it was an experience taking that test. Oh, this one actually feels almost stock, like someone has not been in this one. You can usually tell when the screws are too tight or too loose. You can kind of tell when someone's been in there, but when you've taken as many Nintendos apart as I have, you tend to kind of get a feel for how much torque you should have. And yeah, this one feels more stock than some of the other ones. But I could be wrong. Some I could have just been really good at getting it close. Okay. Sometimes the screws like to just get kind of bound up, so it's easier just to do that. All right. Now it's got a piece of paper in it, some dust balls. For the most part, though, that's the cleanest of the three. That guy's actually pretty clean. So let's go ahead and get this guy open. I put the screwdriver over here. And I'll try not to ignore chat too much. That way if any messages come across, I don't accidentally miss them. But to be fair, yes, this working on a Nintendo is actually very similar to a lot of radios, stuff that you're going to do. You're going to be dealing with a lot of the same stuff, capacitors, resistors, logic circuits. There's a lot of similarities. I know on the ham radio side, you're going to have a lot more than a regular radio system. You know, depending on what you want to do, how far you want to reach, stuff like that. I used to have a friend who was into it. He lived in Florida, and he used to like brag to me about like when he'd get a new amp or a new antenna to try out, and he's like, "Oh, today I reached out and I like talked to some dude in Vietnam." And it's just like, it's amazing to think about how far you can actually bounce a radio signal when you know what you're doing, you know to use the right equipment. 1500 watt. Yeah, most of my stuff is underground radio, so I deal with just regular repeaters and head-ins. And so we're only dealing with like 1 watt. And so we run across like a leaky feeder system. I do have some surface-based radio systems, and most of our wattage is kept to a local area. So we're usually only using like a 5 watt output. So we're not really going too far. It's usually pretty short range. And that's because all of our devices are usually going to be... Why is that guy bound on there? Huh. Pull that guy off. Ah, there he goes. Okay. Because a lot of our people that use our radio stacks are equipment in the mines. And they're low power devices, so they can't get the same power output that we can in our stack. So we have to be kind of understanding of our ranges. Plus, FCC puts a lot of regulation on two-way radio systems on where you can and can't go, how far you can broadcast and stuff like that. You know that though, I'm sure. This guy is pretty clean though. This is probably one of the, like I said, the cleaner of the 3 we worked on today. So those pads look clean. There's no corrosion in there. Looks pretty clean. So let's go ahead and do our first mod, or our only mod, I should say. Get these capacitors out of the way. Okay, so remember 4th pin over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nip that guy. Push it out of the way. No contact. There we go. Another lockout chip disabled. So I don't know if I brought this up before, but the reason why this works is that's your pin that goes high or low. Well, this chip internally has a natural set to low. It goes to ground. So your Hermes light, 2 plus 5 watt into baby amp 70 watt. Nice. I'm not sure like all that equipment, like a lot of that name, but what is the furthest you've reached out with your gear? If you don't mind me asking. I'm not sure where you're located. If you want to share just a regional location, you don't need to give me like your coordinates or anything like that. I don't need your latitude, longitude. But what's the furthest you've been able to reach out to and like actually talk to somebody through your radio? But yes, that pin 4 on that chip actually goes low naturally. So by not having it connected, it just automatically goes to ground. And so that's why this mod works the way it does. Okay. A moon bounce. I've heard a few people talking about it. I've actually never experienced it myself. I do know it takes time, but that's impressive. But how far how far have you reached out? So like my buddy, like I said, he lives in Florida, and he was telling me that he was talking to people in Vietnam, right? So. He claims he also talked to somebody in Australia, so it's a pretty impressive reach on that. And for those who are listening and don't necessarily know what we're talking about, you have different types of radio, and you're depending on the spectrum of the RF you're running in. You have like a VHF would be more line of sight, so it's like if two antennas can see each other. But you have Skywave, which is pretty much either doing an ionosphere bounce, which would be like AM radio, etc. Or you can do a moon bounce. So yes, a lot of radio is bounced off of our atmosphere back into other places. That's why usually most people get the best at night, is because of the cooler temperatures. It is actually allows the signals to travel better. Here I am turning Nintendo Repair into talking about radios. Long path to France, so it's aiming west. Okay. I'm not familiar with long paths, so you'll have to fill me on that. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with the the ham radio side. Like I said, I stick to more of navigational type RF and point to point. Usually, like I said, within pretty much almost vision. All right, let's do a Q-tip on this guy and see. Put a Q-tip on. Oh yeah, so that stuff pretty nasty. Okay. Nice. That is pretty crazy to have that kind of gear and to think that you can reach out like that far. I know the technology's not crazy, but to do it like on your own as like a, I don't know, are you a hobbyist or do you do it for a profession? Is there like a reason? Because like I know a lot of like ex-military guys or retired military guys who do it more just out because that's what they did in the military. So out of curiosity, are you just a hobbyist or do you have like a profession in this? Alright, so let's check our connector here. Okay. Connector looks pretty clean, no pins bent, so alright. So what we'll do is we're gonna not do the, we'll do the deoxit on one side, but we're not gonna do it on the cartridge side until we can do our till we can do our 1-up card on it. Okay. Short side. This guy in. Prop. Okay, grab the 1-up card. Yeah, see, this guy's got a little bit of a tighter connection. It's actually a pretty decent cart. Alright, now we will put it back together. Oh, come on. I swear some of these shells are not cut the same. There we go. Come on. Oh, it's binding up right there. That's why. There we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, that wire's in the way. There we go. Okay. So we get this guy. Line back up. There we go. it in 4 screws, go blow it out, and then we will give this guy a run and see what happens. Alright, be right back. Alright. Oh wait, we're gonna test it first. Okay. Power supply right here. Oh, that's the Super Nintendo one. Oh, there it is. Okay. Power supply. Grab our audio video. Okay. We'll pop in our, oh, actually first, let's do our, put a little bit more deoxide on here. Bam, first try right out the gate. This one worked. I knew this one was actually a lot cleaner. So yep, attachment 2. We'll check Mega Man 4 real quick. Pop this guy in, and it's not perfect every time, but there we go. Perfect. Again, most of the mods, the cleans, the things we can do to this connector isn't necessarily going to always make the game work the first time, but it is going to give you a more when I say it was sharp, I wasn't lying, it's sharp. Isn't always going to give you perfect connection every time. That's why moving over to something like the Nintendo drawer will be your best bet. The Nintendo drawer will give you that more consistent connection, and you'll know for sure that you're gonna have a no issues when you pop that cartridge in, because it's a top loader type cartridge. So let's put this guy together. Pop in EMI shield. I'm guessing our new friend, the ham operator radio, Elmer. It looks like he might have left. Hopefully you have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. It's always fun chatting radio with people, because a lot of people don't actually understand my job. And so when I talk about it, a lot of people are kind of lost. So but apparently long path is exactly what it sounds, taking the long path. I wasn't sure if that was like what he was referring to, or if there was like a term that I didn't know. there's a lot of similarities to what I do and what a ham operator does. The biggest difference is the frequency bands you run in and the regulations you deal with when doing it. So ham operators, I guess if you're looking for a similarity, would be similar to like a CB radio, like in a truck running across the country, right? The idea is that they can reach further than just what they can see with their eyes or what they can see in front of them or behind them. Ham operators deal with more of the long range stuff. It's a pretty big hobby. A lot of people get into it. It is kind of a dying hobby though. A lot of people have kind of left it behind with the digital because it's just easier to go buy a cell phone, right? So the people who still do the ham op radio stuff, I have a lot of respect for them because they do something that is a learned skill. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of time to dig deep into understanding how the radio systems work, how to use the right antenna system to get what you want to get out of it, and stuff like that. So, but it is impressive if you are a hobbyist who builds a radio and can reach the distance as Elmer was here talking about. It is an impressive feat to be able to reach that kind of distance if you don't have a profession in it, because people have a profession in it, they study it, they learn it, they know it, they don't they know the equipment and they've like tested it and trialed and error and stuff like that. But the hobbyists who kind of do it on their own, it's a little bit different because they have to like either study, read. You have to still get an operator license. You can't just operate willy-nilly. I guess you can, but if you get caught and you don't have a ham radio operator license, you can get a lot of trouble because there's a lot of rules and regulations about like what frequencies you're allowed to be on and stuff like that. They have a lot of like mutual frequencies that aren't used by, say, public broadcast or safety broadcast. An example I use for a lot of my techs at work with the GROL license is if you're running like BLM fire, Bureau of Land Management, by the way, that BLM, and you're doing like a fire and you set up your own radio tower, you don't want someone near you walking on your channel because then you won't be able to talk to the other people that are out in the field and could potentially put them in harm's way, if that makes sense. So by having a governing body or having a governing license that tells you what you can and can't do, it allows you to not create disturbances or issues. So that's 3 Nintendos down. So we are now 3 for 5. Our last mod we're going to do today, guys, let's save it for last. For all you Pokemon guys out there, this is an Emerald version. This is a legit legal copy. The best, easiest way to tell is those 4 pads up top in the corner. The fake ones won't have those. And then when you open it up behind here, there will be a label that says Nintendo. But in the label itself, you won't be able to see it on the camera. There is a stamped letter up in the top corner. This guy needs a battery though, so this guy's going to be a quick, little, easy fix. If I can figure out where I put all my spare batteries. Where did my batteries go? I had them out the other day. I was doing a repair. If I remember batteries, where'd they go? I seem to have misplaced all my spare batteries. So, I do not know where that package. I usually keep it right here, and apparently I moved it. So, I'll show you how to remove the battery, and then I will have to find my batteries. So, you're going to need a tri-wing bit in order to open these cartridges up without damaging the screw. Tri-wing is just looks 3 blades instead of 4, like a typical Phillips. And then you just slide the cartridge down. It should pop up. Don't press and try to force it. You try to force it, it's going to snap something, and then you're going to really be sad, because then your shell won't go back together. This guy's got a little bit of corrosion on the back here. We'll clean that up. But you can see the Nintendo, and you can see the 4 pads I was talking about. Let's see, let's grab a Q-tip. Clean it up off the back. Not sure what happened, but you can see it right here on the shell. Clean this guy up. These guys are pricey, so I know if I wanted to spend that kind of money, I'd want to see it clean and nice, not all nasty and looking like it was sitting in someone's dresser drawer or something. So, oh yeah, because that's on a pad back here. All that nastiness right there was on a pad, or a via, if you will. Oh, have to refill my container here. Okay. So the question is the battery dead? Or was that stuff on the back causing it to read or not read the battery? So, what we're going to do here is we're going to grab our multimeter and we're going to test the battery. So, with our multimeter, we go into DC mode. And we test both sides of the contacts here. Nope. That battery is shot. That should be about 1.5 volts. We're looking at millivolts, and you can see right here, I'm draining the battery. So, that battery is definitely dead. Alright. So, to work on that, ouch, stab myself with my deoxit tip. Thankfully our soldering iron is still, our soldering iron is still hot. I'll bring you guys a little closer to the workspace here, because we're working on something a little smaller here. Alright, so just like before, we'll take a little solder, add it to each pad here. Add a little bit here to help bring down the temperature required to melt the pad. Plus it just gives it fresh solder. Okay. Then we will grab our solder wick here and wick it off. Come on. And then, like I said before, just create a nice little, oh, come on, there we go. Nice little wicking motion, dragging it across so it kind of wipes away the solder. And we're gonna be doing some small parts here, so we'll make sure we cut it off because we're gonna have some small parts here. We don't want to drag this hot solder across and have it cause more of a short or an issue. Okay, you see the kind of the battery started to come with it. Ouch, quit touching that. So there'll be just a little bit of solder left underneath. So we just kind of heat it up. Once the pad kind of heats up, the battery will release. Just pull it off, let it cool off so it doesn't re-stick. We'll do the same thing on the other side. The ground side, sometimes it's a little easier to just put a little liquid flux on it. Kind of helps with the heat transfer. Oh, my pad. Come on. Sometimes you do have to put a little solder in there. Come on. There we go. Battery off. So now what we want to do is go through, clean up the pad a little bit. So we'll do the pad, add a little fresh solder. It'll kind of clean it up, and then we'll re-wick it back off. Hi. Okay, there we go. That pad's all nice and clean. So now we just need a little bit of alcohol, trying to clean up the mess, get rid of all the flux that's around it, stuff like that. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit. Okay. Now, I got a little extra on the mat here. Where'd my towel go? Okay. So, there you have it. You have clean pads. It's ready to go. Now I just need to find my batteries. Like I said, I'm not sure where the hell I put them. Give me 1 second. Well, that's annoying because all I can find is my big batteries. I don't know where my small ones went. yeah, I can find all my big batteries, but I can't find any of my tiny guys. I have a whole box of them somewhere. And like I said, they were right here on my repair station because I just replaced a couple. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish this one until I find that battery. So I might just have to call it good for now. And show you this another time. Because, yeah, I'm not sure where all my extra small ones went. But all you would do is grab your new battery, put it back in place, make sure you match your negative. It's got right here on the board itself. It says it's got a negative sign right here and a positive sign. You set your battery back on it, solder it down, and your cartridge is good to go. So I will have to probably go get more since I can't figure out where the hell my box went. You can find all my other parts. I have fuses. We don't need fuses. I got little fuses for other devices. I'm not sure where batteries went. So, alright. I apologize for that, guys. So, with that being said, this camera, and it's not being able to go the right direction when I want it to. With that, guys, so we fixed 3 Nintendos, attempted 2 Super Nintendos, but they're pretty bad, so we won't be able to finish those today. We'll have to get more parts and talk to the shop owner and find out what he wants to do with them, because they don't have a whole lot of room for being able to buy parts and repair them. So I'll have to see how far he wants me to go, whether he wants me to buy new shells for him and repair them, or if he just wants to call them a loss. And then at that point, then I take over, and then that's when we can do a full-on rebuild, buy new shells, and the whole 9 yards, because I don't have to worry about the overhead. I can just sell them. So, with that, guys, we're done. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. And if you guys like the content, please like the video, share it, please subscribe, tell your friends. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning for Saturday Morning Retro. We will be doing it tomorrow. And then Sunday, I haven't decided if I'm gonna do it over here or over on Twitch. I will be going live with some of my old non-buddies. That's the Misfits. So the Nation of Misfits. We will be hanging out playing some golf in the morning, Sunday morning. So if you guys are down for that, join us, and hope I'll see you there. Until next time, guys, happy gaming, happy I don't know, whatever, happy weekend. And play something